Hey everyone, welcome to the ColorByFeliks podcast. Today we have another amazing artist with us. Her name is Morgan Gray. Thank you, Morgan, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored. I'm really excited.
Thank you for being here. We're here. I'm Andrea. We haven't officially met, but I'm Felix's wife, and then Sebastian, our producer. We're so happy to have you here. And to the ColorByFeliks community, if you guys are listening, be sure to share this episode so that we can share more of Morgan's art. Morgan, could you share your social media handle with us?
So I'm at Morgan Paint Stuff on Instagram and TikTok and pretty much everything else on YouTube, Pinterest.
Awesome. Cool. We're excited to get to know you.
So I saw your work on Instagram on the discovery, and I was just scrolling down and some of the artists, that's how I discover and find. And I saw your work, and what stood out to me is your beautiful colorful paintings, but they're detailed. They're not just abstract. You have this, you use colors so well. I think the way you use the balance the colors together and place them at certain parts, and it's just all balanced well. And I think you understand color very well. And
Thank you.
so I just wanted to ask you, I guess, for everyone listening, to hear your story, how you started with your art, and what are you using, oils or acrylics, and how you began, your art journey, if you don't mind sharing your beginnings.
Of course. So I always kind of doodled in my notebook from a young age. I was always kind of drawing during class, not paying attention. But my mom bought me my first set of paints when I was a junior in high school. So probably 11 years ago. It was oil paints, but I didn't know that oil paints did not dry fast. I thought they were kind of like acrylics. So I did my first painting with that, was very confused when they did not dry, switched over to acrylic. And then I went to college originally for mass comm because I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do. And I ended up not liking mass comm. I switched to painting and drawing my sophomore year. And throughout art school, I always used oils because that was kind of the status quo. That's what they taught us with. And yeah, so throughout college, I did a lot of stuff for class. I also started doing commissions, probably my senior year. And that's how I would make money. When I start doing my art Instagram and kind of showcasing my art, people would ask me for just random stuff. And I would basically be like, whatever y'all want to pay me for, because I knew I wanted to move to New Orleans and I had no money. So yeah, I moved to New Orleans with some of my commission money saved up, and I just continued to do commissions for a couple of years, kind of just doing whatever people would ask me to. I started off doing oils, and then I realized that the way that I work, I like working really fast, and I like that acrylics would dry faster, and then I like layering as opposed to blending, I think. So I switched over to acrylics, and I've been using acrylics ever since. And then during the pandemic, I was not doing as much, obviously, sitting at home. So I was like, okay, I could probably take a little break from commissions and not stress about oh, I need to do this so I can pay rent, all that stuff. So I took a brief hiatus from commissions, did some original work, did some of my abstracts, my more abstract pieces. And then that's when I started to upload on TikTok a lot. And my TikTok kind of set off a little bit, and I was getting a lot more engagement, a lot more followers, attention from people, because my clientele base was more based in New Orleans and more local. And then TikTok opened it up to kind of all over the world, all over the United States. So I was getting all these people who would have never seen me without TikTok, seeing me and wanting my stuff. And then I launched my website, I think 2 years ago. And I sold out the first day, and I was so surprised that happened, because I was not used to selling my own stuff, my own personal stuff. I was just doing commissions. And then I decided to just do my own personal art full time. And that has worked out for the last 2-ish years. And then I've opened up commissions a little bit, but I'm keeping them more so that it's stuff that in my style and not just whatever people want me to do, a little bit more limited. But yeah.
I was wondering about like when you say between like your work and like commissions, like what were you kind of doing before, and then what was it that like was your style that you switched into, you know? What was like the difference?
I was doing basically anything that anyone would ask me. Like if you wanted your dog painted, if you wanted a house painted. I did go through like a watercolor phase. I remember I was like crying one day because I thought that I wasn't able to pay rent because I hadn't been getting any commission requests. I hadn't like really sold anything. And then I started doing these like watercolors of like celebrities, and it was like very bright, you know, like rainbow colors. And then people used to pay me to do watercolors of like them and their boyfriend, like their daughter, their dog.
Mhm.
So I did those, but I was also doing like acrylic paintings of like I would do cars. I would do like I've done like someone's pet like gerbil one time. Like literally, if someone needed something painted, I was like, okay. And I was underselling myself so much. Like I go back and I remember like all the stuff I was doing,
Mhm.
like the amount that I would charge for things that were taking me like 1 or 2 weeks. I would charge like $300. Like,
Mhm.
and then I switched over. I started doing jackets. So I would paint on the back of jackets using acrylic.
Mhm.
And that kind of took off because I started doing Mardi Gras jackets. I would do these Mardi Gras like glitter lips jackets. And so people would send me their jackets. I would paint those. And then one day I did let me see, hold on. Kind of like this style, my like abstract.
Oh,
Yes,
cool.
actually, before you continue, I love that
Felix
style.
loves it.
I was looking at your work, and just the way you use your color, but also the neutral colors, the browns and just those abstract faces. It's just so well put, and I love that style. So
Thank you.
that it definitely is my favorite. Like I love all of your paintings, but that series that you've been doing, oh man, those are golden right there. You're onto something good there.
Thank you. I know it's so special to me because I asked for like Christmas for one year. I asked my parents to pay my rent for a month. I was like, for Christmas, can y'all just pay my rent so I don't have to worry? I can work on some original stuff because I was very thankful for commissions, and I was thankful that I could do painting. I could make a living off of painting, but I didn't love doing commission just because, you know, like it wasn't stuff that I was passionate about, wasn't stuff that I enjoyed painting. And I did a few things in this style. It's a little different because it was my early stuff. And I think I sold like one to some girl in California, and I was so excited. And then when I took a break during the pandemic, I did a video for TikTok of me. I wanted something in that style for my room. I was just like, oh, I want something to match my room. I'll paint it for myself. And I uploaded it to TikTok. And I think that that was one of the videos that it blew up a lot, and people really responded to that style, and people really loved that style, which kind of like surprised me. And I was like, okay, like I'll do some more things. I'll do some more in that. I posted it on my art Instagram. And I did like 4 small 9x12s, and I just threw them up there. Didn't really expect anything. They all sold within like 5 minutes. And I was like, oh,
Oh,
okay.
cool.
Like then I'll do some more. And then that's when then I did my website where I did everything in that style, and it sold out. And then that's when I was kind of not TikTok, Instagram Reels kind of started blowing up and everything. So I would post a reel of me painting like the black lines from those abstracts, and they were getting like so many views, and people were wanting the abstracts. And they were all originals at the time. I didn't sell any prints. So I would
Mhm.
do a bunch of originals, just like small ones on 9x12, and they would sell out immediately. And I was like, oh no. And people were like, oh, I really want these. So I was just kind of like churning them out. I was like so happy because that was my first time. Like that style was the first time I had like my own style where people looked at it and was like, okay, like this is Morgan Gray, this is like Morgan paint stuff. Because before
Mhm.
that, I had never really thought of myself as someone that had a distinct style. I remember
Mhm.
like being in college, looking at my classmates, being like, oh, like I can see that that's that person, like that's that person, like you could tell. And I felt like I was so worried about my style that I never
Mhm.
really took the time to curate one. I was just always trying different things, which I also think is a good way to find a style. You like try out things, you try out what you like, you figure out what you don't like. So once I found this, I really liked that. And then I took those aspects and I used them in my later paintings, like my portraits and like my plants and all that other stuff.
So how do you think that you landed on this style? Like what inspired it, and how did you even, I mean, I know that you started exploring and this is what people liked, but how did you even get to this, I guess?
Yeah. Looking back at some of my older stuff from college, I can see that certain aspects of things that I knew that I enjoyed doing. Like I really liked layering. I love fun patterns. At the time I was really interested in continuous line drawings and faces and abstract faces. I love abstract work. I took a ceramics class my junior year of college, and I decided to draw little or carve in little faces. They were very inspired by this Picasso drawing that I saw, and it had like a little plant. So I did some plants with the leaves and everything. And it was kind of just me taking aspects of things that I would do in my own work, things that I would see like in my art history classes, things that I would see on social media, things through experimenting. If I did a little mark or two here, I was kind of like, oh, that looks really good. And then I would kind of refine it and put it in my later paintings. So it's a kind of just a culmination of things that I was inspired by that I kind of just like tucked in my brain to like use later, and just stuff that I see in the world. If I see something that I like, I'll take a picture of it. Color schemes, a lot of my color schemes come from maybe something I saw online, like maybe like even someone's outfit. If someone's outfit used two colors together, I'm like, oh, I didn't know those colors like looked good together. I'll screenshot it. I'll like keep that in mind for a future painting. But it is a lot of most of my stuff has been like trial and error. And then I kind of just figure out stuff that I like for these colors. Right when I started doing this, I was going through a very like earthy tone phase. Like I loved like a dark green. I loved a burnt orange and like a terracotta and like a peach, which is kind of like what I use to decorate my own house. So that's what I wanted to use in my paintings. And a lot of people responded to that, thankfully. So yeah, it's kind of just a combination of a bunch of just inspiration and basically like my personal taste and like what I enjoy and what I want to see.
Yeah. That's cool.
It's encouraging. Hold that thought, Sebastian. It's encouraging to hear that you weren't afraid to experiment and like just push yourself. You know, because sometimes we're like afraid to step out to that next. You know, challenge ourselves to try something new, and then right there you said you got a crazy reaction, and because you challenged yourself, you did something from yourself, like just, you know, like you're not sure if this is going to do well or whatever, but you did that, you know. And I think that that's so important to do in the art journey, and as you go on, you continue to challenge yourself, and that's how you grow. And I like how what you also said, that you use parts of your inspiration, things that you see, and you kind of use it like a puzzle. You just kind of combine them and the experiences you had years ago, and then you just take those and implement into what you're working on now, and just kind of playing like it's like a puzzle. And I noticed that lately too with what I'm doing too, is I'm using, you know, like instead of just painting landscapes, I'm kind of combining some of the line work and abstract work, and I'm just playing with different kind of styles and combining them together and just see what happens. And I think that's the fun part. And I could see that in your art, that you're playing and having fun with it. So
thank you. A lot of my
sorry.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. No, wait, you go.
No. I was just gonna ask real fast. Like I might have missed this earlier, but like your actual art education, you're mostly self-taught, right? Like you've taken classes here and there, but
no. I started off being self-taught, and then I went to I graduated from college with a BFA in painting and drawing. So I did art throughout my college years, starting my sophomore year, and then I kind of had to like cram a bunch of summer classes to like finish out. But yeah, I took a bunch of
okay, sorry, I think I missed that part. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
So what do you actually, I have a question for you, because I took some painting classes and art and design classes, but I never finished it or did any. I just took it more for fun. But what would you say about like the schooling, the art, like how did that, like do you think that you got a lot of value from that, or you think it's mainly you were able to practice at home and find your style at home? What would you say about the school?
Yes. Okay. So I went to LSU, which wasn't like a art school. like it was basically like I went to art school at LSU. So my experience is probably different from a lot of artists who like went to like a really like art basic, like art focused school. But I will say, when people ask me, like, I've had people ask me, like, do you think I need to go to art school? And I don't think you do. I think that if you're really committed and you love art, the most beneficial thing for me through art school was the repetition, the forcing, like my professor being like, you're going to do this still life. And I'm like, I don't want to do this still life. But they're like, you have to, otherwise you'll fail. So that was the best thing for me, just being forced to do these things that you're looking back, like you're doing it. You're like, why do I have to paint this vase? But we did one about reflections. Like, so it is helpful to be taught in that way. Just being pushed to do things that you wouldn't normally paint, you wouldn't normally want to do for the practice. And you don't realize how all these different aspects of art kind of culminate into one like style or painting. I also think that being around so many talented people was really helpful. I was very inspired by my classmates and very inspired by my professors, and just their outlook and their ideas, and being around a bunch of creative people. But for me, art school was a lot of just repetitive, just getting a lot of practice basically. But I also had a lot of classes where like I took a lot of figure drawing classes, which I hated my figure drawing classes, but I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to do that, because on my own time, I probably wouldn't have done it, but it's still like a very nice skill to have and to practice that. And then I took my abstract class, was one of my favorite classes. And that really opened up a whole world of painting, because before that, I think that I thought that painting had to be one thing. And then through my abstract class, I learned that it can kind of be whatever you want. You can create whatever you want and kind of pick your style or have fun with it. I always thought that it was kind of like realism, you know, before I got into all these classes. But I do think that if you are the kind of person that is very self-motivated and you love art and you're willing to try out all these different things, I don't think that it's a make or break. You have to go to art school to be an artist, like 100%. I do think it was helpful for me personally, because I'm not great at like doing stuff I don't want to do, kind of. So it's like being forced to do like this out of the box stuff was really helpful for me. But I know a lot of people, like there's so many other resources too. You can go on YouTube, you can find these tutorials now. Like, I just feel like if you have the opportunity, then it's worth it. But if you don't have the opportunity, there's still a way to become a like skilled artist without having to pay for school.
That's
I agree with you. I think that with anything, there's like that craft side of it that is the things that are maybe you don't enjoy as much, but help you brush up on your skills, you know, like, oh, I don't want to, you know, whatever, maybe you don't care about how to draw feet that much or something like that, but by learning that, you end up and doing those repetitions, like you said, you end up like strengthening your overall skill. And sometimes it helps to have like a drill sergeant to make you do that.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I was like, thank God, like they're forcing me to do this, because I would have never probably taken it upon myself to do it. So,
right.
So how did you end up in like, why did you end up where you are, like in oh my gosh, New Orleans? Why did you want to go there, move there? Like, what made you decide to go there?
So I've lived in Louisiana my entire life. I'm from a very small town. It's about an hour and a half away from New Orleans. It's very like southern. It's called Berwick. Like no one knows about it. It's very small. And so I lived a very like small town life, and I was very excited to get out of my small town and go to college. I went to LSU, which is in Baton Rouge. And the entire time I was kind of like, ooh, like don't love Baton Rouge, probably wouldn't live here. I grew up going to New Orleans. Like we would go on trips, we would go see plays. And I always really loved New Orleans. I loved the culture. I loved just the aesthetic. I loved the people. I loved the food. So whenever I graduated college, I was kind of like, I don't think I'm ready to move to another state. I don't even know where I would go, kind of. But I was ready to take the leap and move to New Orleans. I just thought that it was a good fit, a bigger city. And New Orleans is such a kind of art driven city. There's so many artists, there's so many talented people in this city. And I think that it's a good place to just practice your craft and meet people who also love art. And there's art all around you, like walking through the French Quarter. And it's just such a unique city. And it's also close enough to my family and close enough to my friends where I didn't feel like out of my comfort zone. I didn't feel uncomfortable. I wasn't starting all over again. It was still like, kind of like, I'm a city girl now, like moving to New Orleans from like my small town, you know? But yeah, so I really loved it. And then I've made a bunch of new friends. A lot of my older friends still live here, and I've just had a fun time here.
That's awesome.
So how much do you think that like living in a big city or a vibrant art scene is important to an artist's development?
I think it's really important. I don't think it's, I mean, of course, like, I don't want to be like, it's 100% necessary. You have to.
Right.
I do feel like my parents, whenever I graduated, they were like, oh, come back to Berwick. Like, you don't need to like live in the city. Well, you can save up some money, like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I'm not moving back to Berwick, because I just feel like I would just be stagnant. And it put me out of my comfort zone, and I was kind of forced to. So it was kind of like, if I wanted to pay my rent, if I wanted to, you know, do all the things that I want to do, I had to sit there and paint. I forced myself to do all of these art markets, which is also another thing about New Orleans. There's always art markets. There's always festivals, opportunities. I signed up for like, I think like 3 different art markets my first year. And I met a lot of cool people through that. And I made some sales, and I still have people that I met at these art markets that will buy from me today, just making those like lasting connections. And I feel like living in a small town, it's not as easy to do that. I feel like moving to a city, especially one like New Orleans, who is, I mean, like I said, like there's art everywhere. So a lot of people are interested in art. A lot of people want to hear about your art. They want to buy art. They want to collect art. And there's a lot of opportunities through that to meet new people and make sales and be inspired.
Do you feel, do most of your sales come from like a gallery? Are you in a gallery, or is it mostly through social media?
I don't have I'm not in a gallery. All my sales are through social media, through my website.
Okay. So did you intentionally not want to be with a gallery, or it just kind of worked out that like you're getting more sales through there and you don't feel the need?
Moving to New Orleans, it all comes to, I kind of didn't know how to. Like, I remember being, another thing about like my art school that I went to, they were very much about art, but they kind of didn't prepare you for what happened after you graduated. Because there was no talk about like, this is how you market yourself. This is how you contact someone. Like, this is how you make connections and like get into a gallery and like do this, do this, do this. So I moved to New Orleans, and I was kind of like, I had no clue. I think I tried to make connections, but I'm not like the most like business savvy, like outgoing, wanting to like push my art onto people. I also wasn't very secure in my art at that time, because I was just doing commissions. I didn't really have like a portfolio of things that I could show galleries and be like, this is, you know, like what I could do. And then I kind of just got comfortable selling things through social media. And then I kind of realized that this was what worked for me, and got comfortable doing that, and was successful doing that route. But it also, I actually I had no clue. So that's why I didn't do it.
Okay. It's actually kind of probably better, because you don't have to give a percentage to anyone. So
yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking. Like, because growing up, or like the whole thing about like the starving artist is so outdated, because it used to be like, that's how you made money. You had to get into a gallery. You had to be written about in these publications. You had to like be seen. But through social media, it's just so easy to be discovered. You can be discovered by people that are from the other side of the world, you know? And that's what I love best about selling myself on social media, is just that it's just pure me, myself, and I, you know, like I'm not depending on this gallery to show my stuff, not giving this gallery my money. Everything's just coming straight from me. which I think
Yeah,
is,
the gallery is social media.
Mhm.
no, yeah,
You know?
that's the downside. That's, well,
Well,
as I said, like not depending, I was kind of like, oh, well, I do depend on Instagram to push
Yeah.
myself
Yeah.
out.
Mhm.
and we've talked to so many artists at this point. I mean, I think this is episode 25. And what the gallery question always comes up, and marketing yourself in real life versus online. And for my personal conclusions that I've drawn just from hearing everybody's stories, I would say that like galleries are nice if you feel like that brings you something. Like if that's the way you prefer to do things, and but it's not essential. Like I would say if I had to choose between the two, the internet just, statistically it just gives you more reach, and more
Yeah.
freedom. But that's not to say galleries aren't a thing. Like I understand that for a lot of artists that is how they prefer to do things. But
Yeah.
like if you had to do just one, I think that you'd be just fine without gallery support and just connecting directly with your audience.
Yeah, I feel like galleries are also good for like people who are at the point where they can just like, I feel like galleries kind of give you more like street cred, kind of like you can
Right.
like, I'm in a gallery, I can sell my work for blah blah. And like on the internet, I've always kind of struggled with my pricing. And that's the thing, you have people on the internet who are like, oh, I agree, like it's worth this much. And then you have other people who are just like, no, absolutely not, I'm not paying that. So that's kind of a hard part too.
Yeah, that is
on
interesting.
On that topic, how do you go about pricing your work? And how has it changed? Because I know for us, it changed over time for sure.
Yeah, I have always, like, people always ask me this, and I've always struggled with it. Starting out, I was basically like, what would I price this? What would I be comfortable making from this piece that I spent this much, like X amount of time on, but I also need to keep it to a point where it's affordable because I need to make money from it, So that's how I started off my commissions. I was doing these commissions for nothing. Like looking back, it's like I would do like original artwork, sell it for like $40. I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
And then like stuff that would take me like multiple days. And I was just like, okay, well, like I need this $50, I need this $40. Like I need to pay my rent. And then as soon as I started, so I kind of just gradually, as I was posting my original stuff and like it was selling out, I was kind of like, oh, people will buy it for $55. Oh, people will buy it for $60. So I kind of gradually raise it up. And then I still want to keep my stuff at a point where it's not outrageously expensive, but I want it to be a reflection of how much time and effort put into it, but I still want people to be able to enjoy it. So I think that whenever I did my portrait, I did a portrait release, my first time doing portraits. And my assistant and I came up with like an equation. Like, honestly, we researched like other artists, and then I kind of like did the equation of like the amount of square inches and everything. And then I factored in like the time, the materials. I always have to factor in, even for prints, I have to factor in how much it costs to make the print, the shipping materials, the taxes that I'm gonna have to pay on it, so it's kind of just a combination of that. But it was very much trial and error, and it still is. Like, I don't think that my prices right now will be the prices forever. I think that it'll change with the demand or the amount of work that something takes, or so it's just kind of hard to explain.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think that pricing artwork, there's no like one right answer, and it's going to be different for every artist.
I think that's smart though, to just like do what you were doing, which is kind of tiptoe up to the line, see where the line is at which people are going to buy it. And then if you start to see the sales tapering off, then you maybe take a step back.
Yeah.
And like, you just got to test to find out.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's like, I want to have my stuff priced, like I deserve to be paid whatever I think that I should, because it's my art, it's my talent, it's my time and effort. But I also, like, I do want it to sell, so I always have to be kind of like mindful about like towing that line between what I think I deserve and keeping it what I think I deserve, and also keeping it what other people can afford, kind of.
So at what point did you hire your assistant and how did you know you were ready for that?
I hired her, I think like a little over a year ago. It was whenever I was doing, so I started off with these abstracts and I was doing a bunch of, they were just original. So I was painting maybe like trying to churn out like 15 to like 20 originals a week, like whatever. And then I started doing these,
That's a lot.
yeah, they were like, they kind of, I work kind of quick, but yeah, like I was waking up at like 7 a.m, like painting all day, painting all like nonstop painting all week. And then I would put it on and then everyone would be like, no, like they sold out. And they'd be like, I want one. I'm like, okay. And I felt like the pressure to like create more. So I kind of went through like a phase where I was like, oh my God, on top of the messaging people back on like Instagram and like answering DMs and posting and having to figure out taxes and having to ship everything. So
Yes.
when I started doing my portraits, I decided to do a portrait launch and I wanted to do prints because I was like, I mean, these like the portraits take me a lot longer and people have been asking, they're like, oh, you do prints? And I was like, okay, I'll do prints. And then I knew that once I did prints, I kind of got to a point where I was like, there's no way that I can paint the amount that I want to paint and also handle all the other extra stuff. And my assistant is actually my best friend since like 7th grade. And she was my roommate for like 3 years. So we were living together and she like hated her job. And she was like, I cannot be at this job anymore. And I was like, well, like, I need help. Like, just quit your job and like, come help me. And it's perfect because like, I mean, I've known her forever. I trust her with all of my information. Like, she knows basically everything about me and everything about my business. So it's not
That's
like
so cool.
hired like a random like intern. It's kind of like someone who like cares about me and cares about my business and cares about, you know, like my well-being and is obviously not going to like steal from me or like do anything to like hurt me or my business. And it's helped like so much just with all the extra things that you don't think coming like being an artist entails. Kind of like whenever I was like, I want to be an artist one day, I didn't think about taxes. I didn't think about social media, having to like stay present and create all this content. I didn't think about the amount of time shipping would take and just like all these like random little things. And now I have her to help me with, and I'm just like so thankful for that.
Yeah. I have one more question. At what point did you decide to get on social media and like how did you know like that was the route you wanted to take with your art?
So I've kind of grown up with social media. Like I grew up, I remember I was so obsessed with like YouTube. So I went through a YouTube phase and I would bring my camera around and I would make my friends do stuff and like edit the videos and put it on YouTube. And I used to, when I was younger, I was like, I want to be like YouTube famous and all that stuff. And then Instagram came out and I remember I got Instagram right away and I was just like posting. I love taking pictures and I would post pictures and edit the pictures. So social media has always been a big part of my life. I've always been someone that likes to kind of post, kind of like show off my life, kind of, you know, look at social media, look at other people's lives. And then in college, I remember, I mean, I loved Instagram. I was like posting on Instagram. I was like a college girl, you know, I was like, woohoo, like posting like annoying, like 10 pictures a night. And then, I would do my art stuff and I would post it to my like regular Instagram. I was kind of like maybe people that follow me don't really care as much about my art. So I made myself a art Instagram and I remember I didn't post on it for like months and months because I was just like so scared. I kind of would just like take pictures and like post it for myself. And then I kind of was like, hey, like this is my art Instagram, and people kind of like responded to it. They liked seeing my stuff. So I would post more. And then I kind of got to the point where I was like, I would see all these other artists on Instagram and like they would have all these followers and all these likes and all this stuff. And I'd be like, oh, like I want to, you know, like have a following. Like I want people to like see my stuff and like I want to get commissions. So I kind of started just posting more. I would basically like go and be like annoying and like follow people on Instagram so that they would follow me back because I wanted like these random followers, like, I don't know. And then I would start to get commissions and people would post me and then I would like, you know, get more followers. And then I remember I was on a trip back. My family's from Connecticut and we drove up there one year. So it's like a 23-hour drive and we're on our way back and my little sister's on TikTok. And I was like, what is this? Like, I thought the app was like for like younger kids. And she was like, no, like, it's so funny. They have all these videos. So I'm like, okay, like I'm in this car for 23 hours. Like, what am I going to do? I'm going to download it. And then like, of course, like you get addicted to TikTok. I started, and then I would see these artists post their stuff. And I was kind of like, oh, like I can do that. Like I could post some videos of me painting. And then I started doing that. And I like, luckily, I think I got it like in the sweet spot right before it got like too oversaturated. Because now like my TikToks like don't really get anything. But at the time, like that's where I was growing from TikTok. And then it turned into like me feeling more comfortable to post videos and stuff on my art Instagram. And then that kind of took off a little bit more. And I just was kind of seeing what people liked and kind of listening to my audience. And like, I could see like the trends, be like, oh, this is what people want to see. So I started doing that on my own social media. And that has just worked out. And I think I don't think that I would be where I am today without social media, like despite all the downfalls there is with it and like how annoying Instagram and everything has kind of become. But I'm thankful that I had like that platform and thankful for an opportunity to grow on that platform.
So have you had moments in your art journey where like social media kind of, you felt like it was overwhelming and it had like maybe negative impact? And what are those negative impacts, that you had from having social media, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah. Just from like even the beginning when I kind of like the point where I started kind of gaining more exposure and stuff was when Instagram Reels first started being popular. So I posted a reel and it was getting like millions and millions of views. And I was like, oh no, I was getting an influx of all these people wanting stuff, all these messages. I had kind of gone from, I think, having like less than 10,000 followers, or I think I just made 10,000 followers from TikTok. And then my Instagram shot up to like 150, like within like 2 months. And it was just very overwhelming. And it was kind of like, I look back at that time and I think that I kind of regret that I didn't kind of like utilize my following more, because that's when I was getting the most exposure and all this stuff. And I feel like I didn't do some of the things that I should have done just because I was just overwhelmed with the amount of attention I was getting, the amount of people that wanted things. I felt like I just had to put all my time into like getting out paintings so that because people like wanted them. And so once that finally slowed down, I was kind of in a like headspace where I was kind of like, okay, like how do I further this? Like what steps can I take to make sure that this isn't just a kind of like one-off, like lucky chance, kind of give it like longevity so that I could like use this platform for like years to come. And then that's when Instagram kind of started like changing things. Like I would post something and then like I would get like no views. And it's kind of hard, or like kind of, it's like disheartening now. I feel like posting something that I worked really hard on, and I used to just kind of like slap a picture up there and I would get like thousands of things. And I'm like, okay. And now it's kind of like, I post like a video that I worked on for like a week and I get like, like hundreds of views, which is like still very good because there's people out there like that are struggling to get views. But I do feel like it's very frustrating, kind of like how y'all said, like social media is a gallery now. Like I feel kind of controlled by Instagram because even though I have this following and these people that want to see my stuff, I have to kind of follow the rules of like the algorithm, or like do this if I want to do this, post at this time, make this video, use this audio, instead of just posting stuff that I know that my followers want to see because they follow me, and like at first I was kind of like, okay, like maybe people are just like over me, but then I get messages that are like, oh, I haven't seen your stuff in so long, like, so it kind of just it's really frustrating when you have to put in all this extra effort to just be seen by people who follow you and want to see you. So I feel like now I'm doing art, but I always have to worry about like, okay, I have to take this video, like, okay, I have to edit this, like, okay, I have to do this so that people will like this and like want to see this, instead of just painting something, throwing it up and people are like, oh, I like it. Because now it's all about like videos and everything.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of frustrating.
Well, I want to give my 2 cents on that because I have only since March, I guess, stumbled onto like a social media following of my own. And it is, I found, the exact same thing. It's like sometimes there will be like, let's see, I'm now at like 31,000 followers, but like I would say it took me maybe like a week to go from 24 to 30, right? And then and then to go from 30 to 31, it's taken me like 2 months, right? And I feel like in that 30 to 31 period, like I've done some of my best work, so my most time consuming, thoughtful videos that I've made, right? And I had the similar thing before. Like I think I got stuck around 20 also for like the longest time. And it just makes you realize that like you can try to game the system, you could try to be, to figure out what's going on, but like ultimately the system's just gonna like do its thing regardless. And so I decided a while ago, like, again, I'm not one to be talking, right, Mr. 30,000 here, but like just, from what I have seen of how these things work, like I kind of made the decision for myself that like I'm just going to do the kind of content that makes me feel really good, because it's like, I don't know, it just in the past, like you will still have those little gold rush moments, I think, where something for some reason hits, and then, but yeah, I just, I don't know, I kind of fast forwarded to like, it's like at the end of the day, you don't want to, by the way, every time I hear that now, I think of the guy, at the end of the day, it's not very funny, is it? Anyway, I don't know if you guys are aware of that guy.
No, I know.
Okay. But yeah, like at the end of the day, I just think that it's like accepting that you're going to be out of control of it and that you have your own audience already, And I think that's my 2 cents, is that I think that is really key to remember, is that like having even 10,000 people who really love what you do and are ready to buy from you, you can live off of that, And like, so I think that to anyone at any size, to keep that in perspective, is that it's about the loyalty of your fan base.
Yeah.
Another thing. Sorry. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Come on.
I'll go ahead.
No,
Okay.
go then. Okay. Well, I was gonna say like another thing that we have found, like, because we've been doing this since like 2017, and I remember like when we first started, like we've been through this so many times. Like this is just how social media is, and it's like so fickle, but you just have to be ready when those moments do happen, and remember that it's not your content, because you can like get super discouraged, like how you were saying, like, oh, like I know, like maybe they just are over me, maybe people are sick of seeing my stuff, but like it's not the case. It's more like the algorithm, and it's not really you. And so like something that we've been doing is like whenever we have that, it's like we maybe will try a different platform, like right now for us, Instagram, it's like pretty dead. Like it's not like doing like anything crazy. Like when we first started, I remember like Felix grew to like 500,000 in like 6 months, and like that was insane. But ever since then, and now it's like more about creating longevity, and it's like we're focused more on like, okay, let's try a different platform. That platform will be growing, or like let's try this place,
Yeah.
So
yeah, like right now, like we have, did I interrupt you?
Nope.
Okay. No, I agree. And I think like what we do also is like, I think that's what you said, that, what you're going through, same feeling, like same kind of struggle. It sucks, it sucks to you worked so hard and you start losing, and then this changes happen, with these platforms. And you just need to, I guess, as you go with social media, learn how to let it go, not to have that like be controlling you, like you said, like
Mhm.
having these platforms control what you do, like be free still, you have to remind yourself that. And I think for us, like what Andrea said, like if Instagram's a little bit down, we still share there, but like what
Yeah.
we right now, we're like YouTube does their shorts, and so we're just sharing on there. And what Facebook or TikTok or whatever platform gives us more kind of that extra engagement and push, I start to focus on a little more. So if these social media platforms listening, you better, because I'm gonna focus on all the platforms, but I'm gonna mainly focus on the one that is actually helping, push. And it's not really because of the followers or whatever, but it's more like this is this, I do this full time. I don't, this is my art. I wanted to try to share it to as much people as I can, but also make a living, like, try to, and like, that's what we do as artists. We all want that, in the end. And so like, that's what we're doing. We're just kind of shifting. And over the years, it's been shifting for many years. It was Instagram, but now it was Facebook, and now it's like YouTube Shorts. It's like we're jumping all the time, and then the algorithm changes, and then you move back to so it's like,
I know that's what I guess I really have struggled with, just being like, it's like, okay, I think I get like too in my head, and I'm like, oh no, like people don't like my stuff, like I'm not gonna like sell anything, like blah blah blah. Especially like now having like an employee, and like now having like all these other extra expenses that I had whenever I was, like doing all that. It's like very scary, but like you said, it is very important to just keep like looking forward. And also what Sebastian said, like doing things that you are passionate about, because that's when most of my, like, when I get the best. And I forget that, like, people want to see things that you are doing, not just for fan service, not just be like, oh, people like this, like for yourself. Like that's when I've kind of been the most successful, is whenever I did something that I liked and I enjoyed doing, and people really responded to that. So, but yeah, I need to be better about like being like, it's okay. Like I saw like someone be like, it's like a roller coaster. Like it'll be down, some days, it'll be up some days. I think I just get like so stressed out, but like, at the end of the day, it's just like, I create what I want to create, and I'll post what I want to post, and people will respond to it. And I'm lucky for the ones that do respond to and do see the stuff that I post.
Yeah. And I was talking to Andrea about the same thing. It was like, when I was helping them set the podcast up, Andrea was having a really stressful day, because it was like,
oh my gosh,
the algorithm had changed, and she was like, Sebastian, I don't know what to do. I have employees now. We're not making as much as we were making last year. And what I had to remind her of is, I'm like, Andrea, last year I was working at a grocery store, like, and I found a way to get by. And like, you guys have, like, comparison, I think, is like, as human beings, it's just natural. Like we get used to whatever we currently have. And then we look forward to that next thing. And if what we currently have is taken away from us, then we feel like we're like way further back, when we still might be way ahead of where we ever dreamed of being originally, And so that's what I would say, is that like, you guys have not, I'm not saying you guys are being ungrateful or anything. I'm saying it's human nature, but I'm just saying that for anyone who's had some success and already built this into a livelihood for themselves, it's like, take inventory of the fact that like you do still have this base of people that rock with you, that love what you do, that buy your stuff, and that the growth is always good, but that as long as you've got that core of people that, just rock with you, I think that that's like really a really solid thing that you can totally rely on,
Yeah, I agree. I know it's nice to see, like, I get so many supportive messages, like the people that have been following me for a while. I think I don't realize, like, it's just like kind of weird, not weird, like weird in a good way. It's just kind of like surreal to like see people like message me like, oh, I've been following forever. Like, I love your stuff. Like, I finally got to like get this piece. Like, oh, like I've been following you. I sat by a girl like in the nail salon the other day. She was like, oh, like you're Morgan Paint stuff. Like I followed you forever. Like I got a jacket from you like forever ago. I was like, oh, so nice to like just like have this community of people that really care about you, care about your art, and support you. And
I don't think anyone as artists gives himself enough credit for like actually having an impact on other people's lives, It's
Yeah.
like you forget that connection is actually being made all along, that there are people who are like actually inspired by you and, doing their own stuff because of what you're doing and how that
Yeah. I know
inspires
I've
them.
gotten like people will be like, oh, like you inspired me to start painting again, like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, me? Like, oh, like happy I could help. But it's just like just crazy that people like kind of see my work in that way. And it's just like awesome. And I'm just like happy that people can gain inspiration by like what I do and what I paint.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like in the end, we try to refocus, and those moments maybe that algorithm changes and all that stuff are actually, if you look at it in a other way, in a positive way instead of negative, it reminds you, because we're all human, like we're sharing the things that we all feel, the things that we go through, and like that those sucky moments and then positive moments, and it's like it just this changes could be really good for your growth and reminder of where you started and why you're doing this and how you can impact so many people. And I think that it happens to everyone, in every style, every job that people do, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and I think it's just it's life, you learn from the hard times and then you have a great story after that, because it would be, I'll tell Andrea, I'm like, if everything was so smooth, life, growing and you're getting success and there's like this graph going on, then the story would be kind of boring, I feel like.
No, I
But
definitely get that. And I feel like it helps you kind of get out of your comfort zone. Like I've been pushed since like I think that I would have kind of got a little stagnant and been like, oh, I'll just do like portraits, blah, blah, blah. But since the whole algorithm changed, I've been kind of like, okay, what can I do next? Like, what can I do that people would like to see and that I like to do? Like I did like a plant series because I asked my followers, I was like, y'all, like I was kind of in a rut. I was like, I'm not like, I would wake up and be like, what do I even paint today? I'm like out of ideas. And someone was like, oh, like do some plants. And I have plants all over my my house. And I was like, oh, like, I don't know why I've never thought of that. And that kind of just opened up a whole new like series for me collection. And I had so much fun working on that. And I realized that like I really enjoyed painting plants, which is something that I probably wouldn't have tried if I hadn't been like pushed to be like, okay, well, like, what should I do next? Like, what can I do to like kind of grab people's attentions and all this stuff with like the fluctuation of like social media and all that.
Yeah,
So is that what you're working on right now, is the plant series, or what are you up to right now?
Right now is kind of another kind of place where I'm kind of like, okay, like, what do I need? I did some flowers. I'm actually working on some more flowers, but also it's about to be Halloween, and Halloween is like my favorite time of year and like my favorite holiday. So I think I'm about to do I did a Halloween collection last year. So I think I'm going to bring it back and do some more Halloween-esque paintings or like portraits, or maybe like I'll do like, I've been doing like flower arrangements. So I'm like, it would be cool to do like kind of like a like bloody like kind of haunted like flower arrangement or something to go with like Halloween. So I think that's what I'm working on next. But yeah, I'm always just kind of trying to think of new things. And
you should follow Laura's beating art.
Yeah.
That's somebody that they worked with in the past.
Yeah,
And
Laura's all about like Halloween.
yeah.
Laura's Beating Art.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a funny name. That's a good name. Okay, I'll have to look her up because yeah, like I'm getting very into like Halloween mode now.
Do they
now
do
that's
it big in New Orleans?
Hmm?
Do they do that holiday big in New Orleans?
Yeah, like we have like Crew of Boo and it's like a whole like parade, or they have like a bunch of haunted houses. Like we've gone to like haunted houses and stuff. And like I have like a Halloween party. I've had a Halloween party for like the last like, this has been like my 4th year having one. And my boyfriend probably wants to kill me because I like deck the entire house out. Like it's kind of ridiculous. Like it looks like a haunted house. And this year I'm like, well, we're going bigger.
Wow.
So he's still picking spider webs out of his cereal.
Yeah, he's probably like, oh
later.
my God. Yeah. It's like, where'd this come from? And I'm like, well, it's about time again. I have to start bringing, we have a garage in our backyard, and it's like a garage. And then the top part, the guy who lived in it before, it was like his music studio kind of. So Sean was like, I'm going to turn that into like my man cave. It's just covered in boxes of Halloween stuff, like boxes and boxes of just like all of my Halloween stuff that I like have my Halloween collection that I keep like, adding on to every year because I think that I need to like buy more Halloween decorations. But
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah, I agree. It's the most fun holiday, especially to decorate for. You just-
yeah,
Yeah.
it's always been my
Have-
thing.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
do you like sketch your ideas and kind of before you go on to the canvas?
Yeah, so I'll do like a pencil sketch and then I'll kind of, which is like very bad, and then I always use like a Sharpie to kind of figure out exactly where I want it to look like, because I get kind of like confused. I've never been one, I follow like and I think like your work, you kind of just like straight up start like but I need to like, I don't know, plan it out a little bit more, and like so I go through like a lot of steps, which
It
is like
does
that's like
seem
my
looking
least
at your
favorite.
art, it does seem like your art relies on you making a lot of decisions, you know? Like even I'm looking at that plant painting behind you and it's like, okay, which shade of green am I using for each leaf here? Or like there's just so many colors and so many lines that it seems like you make a lot of decisions. So maybe that planning is really helpful to that style.
Yeah, like it's my least favorite part, like drawing. Like I've always like been not as much, it just makes sense, like not as much as like a drawer as like a painter. Like I like to just kind of like sit down and paint. But yeah, I definitely, the whole like planning part when it comes to like actually sitting down and painting, I kind of just have like a color scheme like in mind, and then I'll just go in with one color, add a layer of that color, and then I'll go in with another color, add a layer of that color. So it's kind of just like layering on these colors until the painting's done. But
Do
it
you
does.
repaint? Do you ever repaint your work or?
Oh yeah, I've had some. Do y'all want to see this one? Hold on, let me show you.
Let's see it.
I've had. Hold on, it's in here somewhere. So I've had a bunch of like portraits that have not ended up like I would finish them. I'd be like, this does not look anything like the person that I want. Like I did a Britney Spears one, totally redid it. And then so I'm doing I'm like last year I did a Christmas thing. So I did like Buddy the Elf. So I'm like, this is Buddy the Elf, like yeah. But before I wanted to do like him like screaming. And like so I did this one, and I feel like this is like it's from like a horror movie. So I was like, I cannot post this. Like, this is scary. This is like Jack Nicholson in like The Shining. So
Yeah, the
like,
red definitely doesn't help.
yeah, no,
yeah,
it looks terrible. Like I'm scared of this painting. I just wanted to get it from my closet, and it's like behind. It's like face down.
Yeah, you got to keep that bad juju facing the wall.
I know. I like
That's great though. I love it. I love it.
And then I get like frustrated because I'm sitting there like doing. Sometimes because if I don't like something, I'll just start new because I get frustrated just kind of sitting there and like fixing stuff, and I'm like kind of like, okay, no, like I just have to redo it. So then I redid it, and this one he looks nice, like he's happy. He's not.
yeah, that one's so much better.
The calm pink.
I know, like I think y'all are the only people besides my sister and my boyfriend that have seen this one, because I'm like, no, that will never see the light of day.
And now the
Wow.
audience.
No,
Yeah.
but
I know, now it's on the podcast.
That's it's funny because like I remember taking a painting class in college, and we had this model come in, come drive, and pose, who's older guy, like he had a cowboy hat, and I never, like you said, the teachers kind of force you to paint stuff you have to do for class, and we had to paint. He came in and posed for 4 hours, and you just painted him, and he would come for like a week, and I was like painting, and my face, I'm like not into like painting faces and stuff. Like I wasn't ever like that, didn't really give me excitement, but I had to do it, so I just did it. And then my friend's artwork, because we took this class together, it turned out really good. The skin tones and the blending he did, I'm like, man, yours is good. Like it doesn't look exactly like him, but just looking at the painting, like it looks so good. Mine looked like a cartoon character and looked like an avatar because I used a lot of blue. And I was like, I started playing frisbee after class with the painting. I was not happy with it. But like looking back, like I wish I kept that painting because I threw it away. Because looking back, like I wish I would have looked at it and be like, man, it's kind of fun to see where you've how you progressed,
changed,
how it's changed. And and just so that even that painting that you did,
You got to keep
you
it.
got to keep it, because I think
I know, yeah.
years down the road, you're gonna look at it, you're gonna be like, I'm glad I kept it, you know.
Yeah, I know. I definitely have a bunch of stuff from college that I wish that I would have kept, but I was kind of like, oh, no, like this is ugly. And it's like, but it's all like a stepping stone into like your progress and like your journey into like where you are now and everything. But so yeah, some of them though, I'm kind of like, ooh,
Yeah.
this was
Do you have like a favorite piece?
I think I really loved like portrait wise. Oh, it's behind. I did my David.
Oh, cool.
And I really loved him. I actually like kept the original, and it's hanging up in my living room because I did it and I was kind of like, oh wait, this one's pretty cute, so I'm gonna keep this one. And I really like a lot of my abstract pieces. Like I have some like of like my like face ones. I have one of my first. It's actually I think like the first face abstract I ever did is hanging up in my like foyer, and I really love that one. I don't think I wanted to sell it at the time, but I kind of, and I was only selling it for like, it's huge. It's like I think it's like. It's either 36 by 36 or it's like 40 by 40. And I was selling it for like $500. And I look back and I'm like, thank God, like no one bought this. Like that's like a steal. And also it's something that I didn't realize at the time was like very special to me because it was one of my first like abstract paintings. There's a lot of stuff that I tried to sell in college too, like moving. I was kind of like, I need to sell this. And I didn't like, I have these two girls. I don't know if you could see. These two girls right there that I did in one of my classes in college, and I almost sold them for like $300. But the sale ended up like not going through. And I remember I was like really disappointed, but now I'm kind of like, I'd be so disappointed if I sold those because it's part of like my journey. And I did that like one of the first portraits I ever did. I would have been so sad if I didn't have them.
Yeah. So we're actually coming towards the end here. So I wanted to ask you guys, we have user submitted questions for the artists in the room, and we just call that Ask an Artist. And so this is from Saranya, and she asks, what kind of art do you guys find difficult to create, and how do you tackle it each time?
I have trouble, I guess with like realism, like, or being realistic or, because my stuff, I kind of have always liked abstract stuff and I like to layer it. I don't really like everything to be kind of perfectly blended. But I guess if I have to do something where I want it to look more realistic, it's kind of just, I try to keep my style in a way, just tweak it a little bit so that it's a little different, or just kind of keep trying until I get the result that I'm happy with.
What about you, Felix?
So I mean, it's for me, like I struggle with the details of things, you know, and actually over the years, she's been challenging me to not overthink about little details and focusing on like, because when I see something that I'm going to create, I just immediately, my brain goes to all the little details that you would have to focus to see them, you know, and I just think about this one little part. And then from there, it just grows like this, you know, all the details, and it kind of becomes overwhelming. And so I've been learning how to kind of let go of that, like use some of the details, like you said, like use for you, like you would use part of the realistic, but then you still want to keep it your own style. So I kind of still try to do some of the details, but not to overwhelm myself. I try to let go of that pressure and be more a little loose in a way. And I've been doing that more lately, and it's been helping a lot, you know, with just progressing and finding certain techniques that I wouldn't have, because I used to paint very detailed pieces, you know, back in the day, but now I'm like trying to kind of step away a little bit from that, you know. And I think that was the challenge that I had, you know.
I had a figure drawing teacher, and she wouldn't get mad, but she would be like, you're focusing too much on like the little details. She would tell me to take my glasses off, and she'd be like, take your glasses off and just like draw the shapes and like don't focus on like the shading like by the belly button and everything. So like I understand that, but yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of artists tend towards that. You can get lost in the details. I remember that as a guitarist and as a musician, like my music skill didn't improve until I stopped trying to compare myself to people who are really good at their instruments, and I just kind of let loose, like you were saying, and just kind of dove in. And then what resulted is that I wrote a lot of songs that I was really happy with, and the songs themselves were not that technical. And that's what I realized, is that, like, for me personally, that wasn't necessarily my approach, and that it was more like you can take a wide scale, or what is it called, like a widescreen view of things or whatever, instead of a microscopic view of things in your art. And some people thrive on the microscopic details, but if that's not you, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you can be more of a paint in broad strokes, either literally or figuratively,
Yeah. Well, Morgan, man, that was awesome to talk to you and get to know you and hear your story about your art journey. And it's inspiring. And I hope listeners are learning a lot from this and can relate. And also, maybe in the future we'll have you back, and see where you're at, and have you back here. So thank you for sharing your story.
Yes.
Thank y'all. I loved talking to y'all, and I thought that I was also inspired by a lot of what y'all said. So I thought that this was really great, and I'm just very honored that y'all asked me. Very excited.
Thank you.
Happy to. Yeah, we want to just connect artists to fans. That's our thing, and we want to. The main point of this podcast is to bridge that gap where fans could stop looking at artists as these magical beings and just see them as people who worked hard, made the most of opportunities and pursued their passions. And I think that your story really shows all that.
Totally. Thanks to the community. Thanks, guys, for listening. And we hope to see you next time. Please be sure to share this episode, leave a review wherever you're listening, so we can continue to support the artists coming on. Also, be sure to give Morgan a follow. Morgan Paints Stuff, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Be sure to give her a follow and go support her artwork. Thanks so much, guys, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Morgan.
Have a good day, Morgan.
Bye.
Thank you, you too.